Now it's time to talk specifically about GHG. Let's learn. What is GHG? Greenhouse gas or gases. GHG stands for greenhouse gas. These are gases in the atmosphere that trap heat, like a blanket around the Earth. More greenhouse gases mean more heat trapped, which leads to global warming and climate change. What are the main greenhouse gases? Let's see them. Carbon dioxide from burning coal, oil, gas, diesel, petrol and other fossil fuels. Methane from landfills, agriculture and leaks in oil and gas systems. Nitrous oxide from fertilizers, some industrial processes and combustion. Fluorinated gases from refrigerants and some industrial uses. When companies report GHG emissions or carbon footprints, they add all these gases together and expresses them in one common unit called carbon dioxide equivalent. Let's start understanding what are the various categories of emissions in GHG. They are Scope 1, Scope 2 and Scope 3 emissions. What is Scope 1, Scope 2 and Scope 3 emissions? To organize emissions and avoid double counting, they are divided into 3 scopes. Scope 1. Direct emissions from sources that the company owns or controls. Scope 2. Indirect emissions from purchased energy such as electricity, steam, heating or cooling. Scope 3. All other indirect emissions in the value chain, both upstream, suppliers, and downstream, customers, end of life, etc. Let's see an easy and tricky way to remember. Scope 1. You own and control the source. Scope 2. You buy the energy. Scope 3. Everything else linked to your business in the supply chain and product life cycle. Now let's get deeper and understand more in detail. Scope 1. Direct emissions, with categories. Scope 1 emissions come from sources owned or controlled by the company. These are typically grouped into stationary combustion, mobile combustion, captive energy or captive power generation, process emissions, fugitive emissions, biofuel or biomass combustion. What is stationary combustion? This is fuel burned in fixed equipment that does not move. Examples in a factory: boilers producing steam or hot water using diesel, furnace oil, natural gas, coal or biomass. Furnaces and ovens used in production. Hot oil heaters. Fixed diesel generators used for power. Examples in buildings or offices: Central heating systems using oil or gas. Fixed diesel generators for backup electricity. What is mobile combustion? This is fuel burned in moving equipment. Examples: company-owned cars, trucks, buses and vans. Company-owned forklifts, loaders and cranes that run on diesel or petrol. Motorbikes owned by the company. More tricky examples. If the company owns the vehicle and pays for the fuel, the emissions from that fuel are Scope 1 mobile combustion.
If the company owns or controls the vehicle, example company owned or company leased, and the fuel is used in that vehicle, the emissions from that fuel are Scope 1 mobile combustion.
What is captive energy or captive power generation? Sometimes companies generate their own power or steam on site. This is called captive power. Examples: gas turbine or coal-based captive power plant inside the factory boundary. Large diesel generator regularly supplying part of the plant load. Biomass-based boiler generating steam and electricity for the plant. The fuel burned in these systems creates Scope 1 emissions, because the company owns and operates the plant. What are biofuels and biomass? If the company burns biomass or biofuels, the combustion is still a direct Scope 1 source. Examples: rice husk boiler in a food plant. Bagasse boiler in a sugar mill. Biogas used in a boiler or engine. Biodiesel used in company vehicles. Carbon dioxide from biomass is usually reported separately as biogenic carbon dioxide, because the carbon originally comes from plants. Methane and nitrous oxide from biomass combustion are still counted in total GHG emissions. What is process emissions? These are emissions from chemical or physical processes, not from burning fuel. Examples: carbon dioxide released from calcination of limestone in cement or lime kilns. Process carbon dioxide from certain chemical and metal production processes. What are fugitive emissions? These are unintentional leaks of gases, not from a controlled chimney or exhaust. Examples: leakage of refrigerant gases from chillers, cold rooms and air conditioners. Leaks of natural gas or other process gases from pipelines or valves.
Simple rule to explain. If the company owns or controls the chiller, AC, cold room, or refrigeration system, any leakage of its refrigerant gas during operation, maintenance, or at end of life is treated as Scope 1 fugitive emissions. Examples of refrigerant gases for Scope 1 fugitive emissions:
Here is the quick summary for Scope 1. If your company owns and controls the equipment, and it burns fuel, carries out a process that releases gas, or leaks gas, those emissions are Scope 1.